All right, what is up, guys? Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Breakfast with the Brand. I am your host, Junior Frederick, and I have with me the man himself, Mr. Bobby Stealth. And today, as usual, we're going to be getting into some interesting topics. Guys, if you're tuned in live, go ahead and put your flames in the comments and also let us know where you're listening in from. Speaking of which, Bobby, your background looks a little bit, just a little bit different. What's going on,
Man,
man?
man, guys, it's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. So, good morning, first and foremost. And I want to just let everybody know that the people you're connected to matter. It matters because you guys remember Shaan being on flight after flight after flight, hotel after hotel after hotel. I think in 2022, he said, or 2023, he was like, I spent more time on the road than I did at my own house. Right. And he loves traveling and stuff like that. But the reason I bring that up is because now I'm doing it hotel to hotel, flight to flight, getting around phenomenal people. And it's all because of who I decided to align with. So what you're getting here with Breakfast with the Brand, like if you go back on our YouTube channels and you go back to when it was just Sean by himself, then it was Sean and Junior, then it was Sean by himself again, then it was Sean and Bobby, and then it was now it's Bobby and Junior. What you'll realize is that there was a time when I was in the audience, just like you guys. Can you believe that? Could you believe that just 4 years ago I was watching the alien call? I'm watching the alien call. And I'm coming, I'm learning, and I'm learning. And fast forward, me and Sean are out helping people, taking names, doing what we do best. I'm in hotels, flying all around the country, closing deals and helping people. And it's because I made a decision to align with the right people, stick it out, stay with it, and get where I believe my family deserved to be. So I'm feeling very grateful. I'm like, wow, this is a pretty nice hotel room. I'm like, wow, it's pretty good food. Like, wow, it's a pretty rich guy as I'm talking to all of these different people. And it is a very surreal moment, but it's one that is well earned, and it's just the beginning. So if you're watching Breakfast with the Brand, I don't know what your vision is. I don't know what your goal is. Put it in the chat. But I want you to know that this is one of my goals, manifesting themselves in real time. And we've got the social proof to prove it on the internet, where I was just a passionate veteran who fell in love with business and had no idea where I was going, to being in multiple nine-figure rooms, literally talking to phenomenal business owners that do what we do and love to help people. So I'm feeling very grateful, Junior.
That's amazing, Bobby. That's absolutely amazing. And that is a real testament, man. That is a real testament. I could remember you when you when you were still in the just in the crowd, man. So that's pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. Bobby, your journey. I hope you're documenting this, Bobby. I don't know what you I hope you're writing this down somewhere, or at least, recording a voice note or something,
Yeah,
because you're gonna have an amazing story to tell. I think we all will.
yeah, yeah.
I think we all will. Yeah.
But I'm excited, Junior. How are you? How you feeling, brother? In the beautiful island of St. Lucia.
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. I feel really good, man. I feel good. I had my workout this morning as usual, doing my thing. I feel pretty level-headed, which I always am, by the way. But I think more mature business-wise is the term that I'm looking for. Yeah, it's like, once you've transformed so many times,
Yeah.
there's clarity in hindsight. So looking back, if I was who I am now, like 3 years ago, like it would be absolutely amazing. It would be absolutely amazing. So I'm just looking back on everything, just sort of a little bit reminiscent, but also in the state where I'm looking forward to a amazing future and bringing an amazing vision to fruition. And that's how I feel, man. And seeing you in that hotel room and knowing your story, knowing where you came from, knowing what you've been through, what you go through on a daily is absolutely amazing. So it's guys, let me tell you something. Just put some flames in the chat. And if you're looking at this right now, like Bobby said, if you're somewhere in the crowd, just know this, that this all starts when you decide to build a brand. It starts with a decision to build a brand. Like whatever you see, started with a decision to build a brand. So if you haven't made that decision yet, then the time is here. The moment is now. Now we'll go to a quick break, but when we come back, we're gonna get into an interesting topic. So you want to have two things. You want to have your pens, and then you want to have something like this. I use this. Probably I had to go out and buy a couple of these. I have them. I have like a whole stack of them lying around because I'm writing stuff all day. I'm literally writing stuff all day. So guys, what is written will be retained. So if you don't have something like this, maybe you have something a little nicer than me. That's cool. Make sure you have your pen. Make sure you have your notepad. When we get back, we'll be getting into the topic for today. Don't miss it. Stay tuned.
That's cool.
There's slow growth and then there's scale. There's incremental growth and then there's exponential growth. What I want to talk to you about is adding a zero to you and experiencing exponential scale. Incremental growth says 1 plus 1 is 2. Exponential growth says 1 plus 0 is 10. Incremental growth says 2 plus 2 is 4. Exponential growth says 5 plus 0 is 50. Guys, listen, when you add a zero to you, you can add a zero to the marketplace. You can add a zero to the value that you bring. So you can add a zero to your family, add a zero to your legacy. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about incremental, we're talking about exponential. I always say that business is a spiritual game. Just imagine when you combine your skills, your values, your abilities, your talents to something bigger than you, something greater than you, something like the power of exponential. That is adding a zero. Add a zero to your competence, add a zero to your confidence. This is about adding a zero in your life, your value, your industry, and your mission. Let's grow. Confidence is key. Most of the people I work with, they have the education, the experience, and the expertise. We call those the 3 E's. But they're looking for the 3 I's, the income, the impact, and the independence. And I always tell them that the bridge between the 3 E's and the 3 I's is marrying your confidence to your competence. Most of the people I work with, again, have all of the competence in the world. What I help them do is get the confidence.
All right, guys. So welcome back. This is Breakfast with the Brand, and the last video you saw is actually the perfect segue into our topic for today. So the topic for today is confidence. Now I'm gonna pass it over to Bobby to sort of introduce us to this topic, but put it in the chat. What does confidence mean to you? And I don't mean the definition of confidence. I mean, what role does confidence play as far as you running your business, you building your brand, you putting yourself out there, you having content, you managing contractors, employees, etc., etc. What does confidence mean to you?
Man, thank you, Junior, for definitely passing this over to me because I've had a very eye-opening experience. It's really been a paradigm shift, like for real, like a paradigm shift. It's all around confidence. So the topic in the way I want to introduce it is millionaires are just people that know something you don't know and have been doing that thing longer than you have. Think about it like that. Millionaires are just people that know something you don't know and have been doing that thing or those series of things longer than you have. So what does that mean? That means anyone could be a millionaire if they learn what they need to know and do it for an extended period of time. And sometimes I think that online media and just the way we create power differentials and separation, like all of these things are important for brand gravitas, and you want to look big in the marketplace. And when you've done big stuff, you deserve to look big. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But The interesting thing is the people that are aspiring to be those big people, those millionaires, billionaires, in our minds, sometimes we can think that these guys are not human. We can start to think in our minds like this person doesn't sleep, they don't eat, they don't like do anything but work. And in many cases, that's not true. They feel pain and they press through it. They have doubt and they overcome it. They have fears and they find ways to push through the fear and execute anyway. What I've learned by this experience, and it's only day one, and we've got 2 more days of this, and I've been like the wealthiest person in the room that we were in yesterday was worth $56 billion, and he spoke to us for about an hour, maybe a little bit less. $56 billion. The guy before that was like 1.2 billion or something like that. And then I'm shaking hands with all types of people that are worth, tens of millions of dollars. And what I learned just in that very brief experience was that these are human beings, just like me. They talk about their struggles, they talk about their wives, they talk about their kids, they talk about like all the stuff that I talk about. And then they laugh at my jokes. I laughed at their jokes, and entrepreneurs, we joke a little bit differently because we joke about like, oh man, I remember that time I almost couldn't pay rent. They almost took my house, my car, and everything. Like we joke about different types of things, but they laughed because they got it. And they were able to encourage me, like, your wife almost left you too. You stuck in there, buddy. Good stuff. And we just joke about what it takes. And what I realized is that we have all the confidence in the world the moment we realize that the people we idolize or the people that we put on pedestals are no different than us. The only difference is that they know something we don't know, and they've been doing that thing longer than we have. So as we dive into the topic today, I really want to help everyone reclaim confidence that they might have given away due to idol worship. And to a degree, there's nothing wrong with idol worship in the early days because you got to believe in somebody. You got to find somebody that you can look up to. And when you look up to these people, there's nothing wrong with having a degree of respect and admiration for them. But if the admiration and respect goes so far to the point that you start to give your own confidence away, or you start to believe you can't do what they've done because you haven't been where they've been, well, that's
Yeah.
what I want us to change today, because they're just people that know what we don't know and have been doing it longer than us. So if you can pick up the right information, which is what we do here every day, is we give you tried and true evidence-based information and you can learn it, you become one of those people that know what millionaires know what multiple six-figure people know. And all you have to do is make a habit of taking action on that information every day. So that's what we're going to be diving into, Junior, because it has changed my life in just like a day. So I'm excited to dive into it, and I'm excited to hear your perspective on that, Junior. Like, what do you think about confidence? Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you are giving away some of your confidence due to idolization and stuff like that, and you kind of had to come back down to earth and say, hey, okay, this is a great guy, but he's just a guy, or this is a phenomenal woman, but she's just a woman, and I'm going to learn from them, but I'm not necessarily going to worship them. However, I'm going to be humble and I'm going to learn. I'm going to empty my cup, as you say. And like, what has that experience been like for you? Have you had that confidence struggle, and did you have perspective shifts along the way?
Oh, Bobby, absolutely. I've definitely had confidence struggles like all my life. So I'm not new to the whole confidence thing. In fact, I feel like for the early part of my life, I sort of struggle a little bit with the confidence thing. But when I got to like, let's say like, I'm not sure what they call it, maybe like high school. We call our school stuff differently in my country. Like you might have middle school stuff like that. We don't have that. We have like primary school, secondary school, and that kind of stuff. So let's just say high school for the purpose of the viewers. I feel like I auto corrected, like I overcompensated in the opposite direction. So I struggled with confidence. Then I had way too much confidence. I had too much confidence. and then I came back down to the middle where I am, which is like a sort of humble confidence where I am confident, but I'm not like, arrogant or anything like that. So I've definitely struggled with the whole confidence thing and finding the nice balance between there. And when it comes to giving some of that away, I've definitely done that. And in fact, recently I was on a mastermind call with a guy whose company is doing multiple nine figures per year. And when he spoke, I was like, this is pretty interesting. But I look at these people differently. So number one, they're human, yes. But I'm not looking at them, I'm looking into them, if that makes sense. So I'm looking and I'm asking myself, like, okay, what are these people? What's the big deal? So what what are these people doing that I'm not doing that I need to do? What do they know that I don't know that I need to know? And I'm looking for the nuances because what I've realized, like every human being is pretty much the same. So most of us, we have all of our limbs. So, most of us have like two legs, two arms, a head, right?
Right.
We talk like a normal functioning, like no disability, anything like that. Like we're pretty much the same. We're pretty much the same. So the secret has to be in what they're doing now. We all have 24 hours in a day. I believe the difference is perspective and action. So what is their perspective, and then what is the actions that they're taking on a daily basis? So I look at these people like, okay, how do they see things? And that's where the secret normally lies, in the seeing of the things, the perspective of the things, and also the way that they take action.
Yeah.
I
I
think
agree.
doing allows me to sort of not give away that confidence, but
Mhm.
the confidence sort of evolves into admiration and respect, but not necessarily idolization. No, I don't idolize any man or woman.
Yep.
I don't idolize any man or woman, but I admire people that have gone to where I want to go to, and I respect them, and I'm coachable as far as they are concerned. I'm coachable to them.
Hmm.
So it has evolved into sort of that when you realize like they're literally the same people. Like there's no difference, like you
Yep.
said. It's just that they know something you don't know. They have a perspective you don't have, and they're taking a specific series of actions that you've not taken as yet. And that's sort of my perspective on that.
And that's what I've been realizing. And I love meeting veterans. So when I meet different veterans, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I've been thinking it, but I was like, am I gonna say it or am I not gonna say it? But I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Guys, networking is a job in itself. Like I was out there talking for like literally, I don't even know, maybe 8 hours. And the event was 8 hours. So I'm listening for 8 hours and then I'm talking for 8 hours. And, my voice is like shot. I'm drinking water and I'm going to be drinking tea. And the only reason I share this, because I was like, man, I'm not going to share this. But the only reason I share this is because what I'm learning also is that you've got to be willing to do what it takes when it doesn't happen the way you thought it would. And this is an interesting statement, but there was a guy who was speaking and he was talking about all the different turns that he had to take and all the things that he expected and how they just like didn't work out the way he expected them to. And for me, this event was something that I didn't expect, and networking was something I didn't expect it to be like. And now that my voice is in this space, I'm like, wow, I've got to drink more water, drink more tea, get better rest, and do all of these different things. And I'm sharing these insights with you because these are things you don't know unless someone teaches them to you. So I just want to highlight that because it is a part of what we're talking about right now, which is they're doing something you don't know and they're doing it in a way that you've never done it. And Shaan was pretty much like training day. If you've ever seen the movie with Denzel Washington, like I'd be the new guy that was coming in as the detective, and Shaan is like showing me the ropes. He's like, all right, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. And like hour one, I'm good. Hour two, I'm good. Hour three, I'm good. Like I'm working all the way into the evening. And what was interesting is like I'm from North Carolina and we're just in a different time zone. Like, so I'm East Coast normally, and now I'm here. So it's like jet lag there. You don't think about that. And then you've got all the time that you've been up, and then all the time that you've been talking, and then you're trying to get sleep to wake up in the morning to do the next go round of activities. So that's a whole nother beast in itself, which is where you just have to do what's required when you get there. So that's just another thing about, I think, confidence is having the confidence to do what's required. And just as you approach it, like you're not going to know. I got water in one hand, coffee in another hand. Over there, it's 8 o'clock. Well, it ain't 8 o'clock over here, but I'm still present. And it's like you just got to show up and keep showing up. And guess what? After this, I'm going to go to the gym because it's going to be gym time here. And then after the gym, I'm going to be getting ready to show up and hit it again. So one of the things that I've gotten from this experience, as we get back on more of the beaded path of what we were talking about this morning, is that when you believe in yourself and you believe that no matter what the obstacle is, you'll overcome it, I think you have everything you need to get everything that you want. And that's something that I'd like everybody to just think about. Like, is there anything that you think right now, consciously or subconsciously, that you can't do? Question I don't think a lot of us think about. Like, literally ask yourself the question and be honest. That's the biggest thing. Be honest. Is there anything that I think I can't do? And if you think you can't, we all know what Henry Ford said. Well, you can't. The man that thinks he can, and the man that thinks he can't. Applies to women as well. But subconsciously, many of us have things in the back of our minds that we think we can't do. For me, what came to the forefront that I didn't want to admit, that I didn't want to really dive into, is I didn't think I could get a multimillionaire to have a conversation with me and take wisdom from the conversation. So in other words, I didn't think I had anything to give to someone that made more money than I did. And I found that that was not true. When I sat down with these people, and I have a finance and economics background, I realized very few of them have that background. They know what they know, and they're good at running their business, training their people, leading their people, but they know nothing about money. You know, about the technicalities of money, like how it's grown, how it moves, how it scales, how the economy works. But they're like aficionados when it comes to making money in business and all these different things with their skill set. So I'm sitting down with these guys and I'm talking about XYZ, and there's this guy who's exited for like $70 million, and he's sitting talking to me. He's like, man, you speak so eloquently about what you do, and I'm writing a book about XYZ, and here's my contact information. Just reach out to me. I'm like, what? You thought that that was pretty valuable? And that was something I didn't believe I could do, and didn't know it. Didn't know it until I was in the room talking to these people, doing what I know, what I do best, and they found value in it. So the reason I'm sharing this, because it did a lot for my confidence. Like, I'm like, if a guy that's made 70 million XYZ can get some value from what I've got, I know I can help somebody else, you know, and that's sometimes what it takes. It takes you asking yourself, what do I think I can't do? And then just trying it. Just trying it. And after you try it, see how close you were to being right, that, hey, maybe you don't have the skill set for it, or having the experience that I had, which was, whoa, I can do a lot more than I thought. And if you start to do that, your confidence will definitely grow. So I know we're probably coming up on a break a little past the half hour, but that's kind of what my experience has been like, Junior, as far as just one, having the confidence to do whatever is required. Like, I didn't know it was going to be jet lagged. I didn't know I was going to go to the gym. I didn't even know I was going to be making it to the breakfast with the brand. I just knew that when duty called, that I can do it. Whatever it takes, I can do it. So that was that part. And then the second half is ask yourself what you don't think you can do, and then test yourself, stress test yourself, find out where you really are. We call this in the gym your max. Find out where your max really is. And I realized that, hey, my max isn't where I thought it was. And guess what? I'm going to be doing a lot more weight now.
That's right. Guys, stay tuned. We'll be right back after this quick break. This is Breakfast with the Brand. Let's grow.
I said Shaan Ride East. I'm proud. I said Shaan Ride East. Leadership is not the brand they made for us.
Listen, he brought fire and heat. He didn't hold back.
20 years down the line, what I could sell, why not serve first? Service over salary. Branding like a leader closes the gap for people who want branding. Speaking like a leader closes the gap for people who are nervous about speaking. If Steve Jobs would have speculated, we wouldn't have Apple.
He changed lives. He helped people open up their business and start their business.
We are the brand. Some people say, Shaan, should I quit my job? Mentally, yes.
As a speaker too, to be able to learn from him and watch him and game respects game. And I want to have that much game someday.
The right client, pay $500,000 for what you do. You have to be bold in your beliefs.
He has been an amazing asset to this event and a pleasure to work with. Very captivating, collaborative, worked very well with the audience.
I want to help you. Put a 0 behind your number, right?
The session was great. How he is online, virtually, he is even more phenomenal in person.
Be the face of change that you want to see. Stop asking questions and start giving demands.
The entire team has just been absolutely incredible. They are a joy to work with. They go above and beyond.
Give yourself a round of applause. Yes, yes, yes. In brand clarity, exactly what you're going to get is what it sounds like. Clarity for your brand. What is your color? What is your logo? What is your unique value proposition? Who are you speaking to? Why? How should you speak to them? How should I position myself? That's what you're going to learn in brand clarity. You need other people to have the same clarity on your brand that you do. But this is the gap. If you don't have clarity on your brand, then no one else is going to have clarity on your brand either. It's like messaging. Your message sounds clear to you, but is your end user receiving the value that you're trying to provide? I guarantee you that after you go through brand clarity, they will, and so will you. And that's how you'll scale your brand.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. This is Breakfast with the Brand, and we're talking about confidence. So, Bobby, and by the way, thank you for sharing that with us, man. Thank you for sharing, giving us insights into your experience. I don't think many people realize what you're saying. And you can't blame them because if you haven't had the experience, then you don't really know, do you? You don't really know. If you haven't spoken to that person, if you haven't added value, if you haven't been in those rooms, then you don't know what it's like. So you have no context of what it's like. So my question to you is this. So just walk us through, like, you going into that room on a scale of 1 to 10, what was your confidence like? And hold on. And then the follow-up from that is you exit in the room. So the transition or the transformation. So you walking into the room, and you walking out of the room. What was the difference in your confidence like from coming in to coming out?
Wow. Junior, I'll be honest. We have a phenomenal leader, so Shaan, he didn't let me fail. So when I went in the room, I was like, I saw Shaan, and then it was like my first time, really being able to connect with him in person and just go deep in some things. So that was an experience in and of itself. So that was pretty cool. And I would say it was probably like an 8 All right. It was like an 8 or a 9 because I'm like, okay, I'm in a room. Like, I mean, I wasn't nervous at all. Then I saw Shaan, and then I knew the assignment, go in, be the brand, be your brand, be the brand, and mingle with these people and just see what you can learn, see who you can serve, how you can serve, and like do that. So that's the mindset I went in with. But when I left, and I'll tell some more on the insides, like when I left, I'll say I was on like 100. I went in on like 8, but I left on 100. And I think that what happened was the getting to the 10, was just having Shaan there and him mentoring me through the experience, and then just seeing how he moved through the crowd, in the crowd, and we're both kind of like high eyes to a degree. And it's like I was perfect. I was very natural. It came naturally. And but what the increase in confidence came from this will sound pretty funny, but the increase in confidence came from the clear distinction between physical appearance. Now this is oh man, I want to break this down. And I don't want to sound like, a jerk either. But like you can tell the people that take care of themselves health wise. You could see the people that match their attire to their desire. You could see the people that maybe stumbled upon money and grew it. And you could see the people that doggedly work. Like you could see it in their eyes. Like there was no fluff in their life. So a part of also my confidence going through the roof was realizing that a lot of people that had made, all this money or had these fortunate experiences didn't have the same background as me. So it's like, guys, we have cancer survivors on the call. We have military people on the call that served 30 plus years. Like we've got people that have suffered all kinds of losses. And it's like, when you know where you've come from and you're still in shape and you're eating right and you're still a good person and you love what you do and the people you do it for, when you get in these rooms and you get around other people just like you, I think the confidence kind of just goes through the roof because you realize it's like, man, we all got a story. We all got our burden, and our burden is the heaviest. But if you put the burdens to the side and you genuinely try to help people and you take care of yourself like we do, they ask the question, who in here has a 6-pack? Only like 6 people raised their hand. Me and Shaan were 2 of them. And it was like, okay, that's another confidence boost. There was one guy that was a 9th grade dropout. So for you, Junior, like this guy dropped out in secondary school. Like right before going to secondary, like he drops out. He was 27 years old, worth $7 million. $7 million company, $7 million company. So revenue. So if he were to sell that at a multiple, he's probably worth like $24 million or something like that. They're on track this year to do 10 million. And that's a great experience to have, like a 9th grade dropout, a high school dropout, a secondary dropout, and he's doing phenomenal. Everybody told him he wasn't going to make it. So when I was listening to all those stories and I'm seeing all of these people come from all of these different backgrounds and walks of life, I went in on an 8, I left on 100. So that was the experience.
That sounds amazing, man. And as I'm listening to that, I'm looking at my own experience, where I come from, the stuff that I've done, and I'm thinking about the audience. So put it in the chat, like, how do you feel? Because we have all kinds of people on the call, and we have some real people on the call. When I tell you real, like when the first time I heard Dr. Michelle's story, I thought it wasn't real. I thought it wasn't real. When I heard Dr. Michelle's story, Dr. Michelle is one of those people. I'm like, what? Like, listen to what I'm saying. Like, if you can go through all of that, and there are many others. I see Tia on the call. I see a couple other people. If you can go through all of what you've gone through, And the people that Bobby talking about, they may not have gone through that extent of pain, then you can definitely be in that room. I heard somebody say that the people with the highest threshold of pain have the greatest potential for success.
Wow.
So in other words, if you have a bigger pain, because really and truly, entrepreneurship is painful. If you have a high threshold for like pain, you could have huge potential for success. So if you've been through stuff, like you've really been through stuff, then you can be in that room, and you could be in other rooms as well. Like
Yeah.
you just have to buckle down, do what you need to do to put yourself there. And that's what I'm thinking. That's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking about all of us and the stuff that we go through on a daily basis. Okay, so this is absolutely amazing. I wrote something down while you were speaking. I wrote down physical appearance added to the confidence.
100%.
This is something that I wholeheartedly believe. This is something that I wholeheartedly believe. And I had an experience a long time ago, Bobby. I was still in school. I was waiting at a bus shelter, and I saw this doctor. He was a doctor, um, making money. Of course, he made money and stuff like that. But he was walking down the street, and he was like overweight. I'm saying like, and I mean really overweight, not like a little. He was like really overweight. I'm like, in my mind, the question I asked myself was like, is that what success like? Do all successful people, are they not all in good physical shape, or do you have to sacrifice? That's a real question I was asking. Like, do you have to sacrifice maybe like physical appearance? Maybe you cannot be as fit, you cannot be as lean, you cannot be kind of a six pack on the journey to success.
Mm.
You have to sacrifice that stuff. Do you have to sacrifice? A lot of millionaires are divorced. Do you have to sacrifice your relationship? Do you have to sacrifice your health, parts of your health stuff? That's real question that I asked myself a couple of years ago, and the answer is you don't. You don't have to do. You don't have to sacrifice all of that. You could have it all. You could have it all if you choose to earn it all. And that's the kind of success that I want. Successful family, successful marriage, successful business, successful, health, kids, successful, all of that. You can have it all. Why not? Why not have it all? Why not earn it all?
Yeah.
And that's sort of what I'm thinking. But the fact that you and Shaan were the only, well, not the only two, but you were among the very few, that says a lot.
Yeah.
That says,
And like I looked around, Sean's at that level where he's like heard it all before. He knows what it's all. But I'm like, how many other people do have six packs? So I'm looking around, and it's like over 200 people in this place. And it was like to see that six people had six packs blew my mind. Blew my mind. But it also let me know that we really do this, guys. Like, we really do this at the highest possible level. Like, when it comes to branding and leadership, you are the brand. And when we walked in there, we weren't the only ones in suits, but we definitely were some of the best looking in our suits. Like, our suits look nice and slim fit. They were tight. We didn't have to keep the button open just so that we could have some room to breathe. Like, we were clean, lean, mean, and machines. And we were just get into it. And it was so exciting. It was so exciting. So I guess another part of the experience that I could share was that the energy was like my kind of energy. It was like, I'm trying to think, because I'm not even going to try to do the math, okay? But everybody had to spend an amount of money to just be in the room, and then they had to spend an amount of money just to get there. So most of these people are high earners, and then you had some of the highest earners in the room, or with the net worths of billions of dollars, right? So in this one room, it's like billions of dollars, just billions of dollars, and everybody in there is making hundreds of thousands or millions of them. And the energy in the room of that type is just it's not what you expect. It's I don't know, man. Like it's like I'm going to try to give you guys what it's like so that you know why getting around the right people, getting in the right communities is so important. So when the person went onto the stage and started speaking, and there were multiple speakers, they often started with the struggle. And then they talked about the losses. Then they talked about the lessons. Then they talked about the leverage and all the monies and all the things that they did. But they started with the pain, the losses, the lessons, and then the money. And what was unique was that they're all kind of on the other side of the hardest part. And I think the hardest part of entrepreneurship is knowing if you can do it, because it's really, really, really hard in the beginning. It's like if you haven't made $100,000, it's like, and you don't know how to make $100,000, like with your own system, like it's hard. If you haven't made money for yourself and you're trying to figure out how to take this skill set that you acquired in your corporate life and turn that into money, that's hard. If you never made $1 million and you're trying to go from 6 figures to like all of those things are very interesting and difficult things to do, for the simple fact that life, as we say, be lifing all the time. So it was very interesting to see people on the other side of that talk about it in hindsight. So one of the things that I've learned just from this experience alone about being in the right rooms is the right rooms, they say, and I never understood this. Like you cannot fathom it, guys, from my opinion, until you're in it. But they say this all the time. They say, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you need to find another room. You need to be in the bottom 20% at all times to the best of your abilities, right? But I did not understand the gravity of that statement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to create the clarity that helps translate the gravity of that statement. So what I learned, what I felt, what I witnessed when I was in that room and in that state was that when you're in a room of people that are on the other side of the hardest thing you're experiencing, hear me. When you're in the room with people that are on the other side of the hardest thing that you're experiencing, and they talk lightly of it, and they laugh about it, and they tell you all the mistakes they made going through it, you get this renewed strength and faith. You're like, it sucks now, but he made it through. She made it. They're worth what I want to be worth, and they're laughing about it. So the energy in the room is one of those energies that it says what you're going through is light. It's so light. It's like when you're around the people that you're around while you're growing and you're scaling, this could be a partner that doesn't know what it's like on the other side. This could be a mom and a dad that's never seen this amount of money in their life. This could be an entire community that does not know what it's like to be at a certain level. It's heavy. It's heavy because energy and frequency, it's real. So when you're in certain communities around people that have never seen the other side of the most excruciating thing you're going through, they're thinking about you possibly failing. They're trying to say good things, but their energy is still off. And you might not hear it, but you can feel it. In these rooms, these guys have been through it all. Some have gone bankrupt, some have on their third marriage, some of them are like lost people and came back. Some are 9th grade dropouts and worth $10 million. It's like when you're in that room, it's so light. It's so light because nobody feels like they're not going to make it. Everybody is convinced that they're going to make it. And that energy is like you genuinely feel like you can do anything. And that's why being in the right room, I think, is so important, even if it's a virtual room, because the energy of the room is light. And light elevates, heavy constraints. And a lot of times we're around heavy people and heavy energy, and it's holding us down. And we need to get around light energy, positive energy, and the type of energy that says, we can make it. We've made it before. We can make it again. And that it's crazy. Very insightful for me.
Yeah, Bobby, we call that winning energy. That's what we call that. We call that winning energy. Guys, we're gonna go to our last break. Okay, so it's gonna be like 60 seconds. We'll be right back. Don't move.
When I think of brand you, I think of being your best self, your most authentic. The reason why we were able to crush business, absolutely dominate in business without having the marketing list, without having the email huge list, without having the Facebook ads and the advertising budget, without knowing the algorithm. The reason we were able to do this is because I branded myself. I told my authentic story and I was comfortable in my skin. Why? Because it was that time in the world where everything was shifting. It was 2020, March. So you remember what happened during that time. It was like the world was coming to an end. So you didn't have anything to hold back. So I chose to give everything that I had and be everything that I am. And because I was that, because I branded me, because I was authentic, everything shifted. And people wanted more. And they wanted to know more about me and how they could become more comfortable in their skin. Listen, guys, when you brand you and not what you do, you're gonna add a zero to the world, but you'll also add a zero to your revenue. Let's grow.
All right, guys. So we're back. Bobby, we're into the last minutes of the show, man. We're into like the last 5 minutes. So I want to know from the audience, like, what has been your main takeaway from today? What has been your main takeaway from today? My main takeaway, Bobby, in fact, one of my main takeaways would be, and I like what you just said about the energy and the frequency, because that's a real thing, by the way. Energy, frequency is a real, like we can measure frequency. We can measure energy. I don't know if you guys know this. You could measure the energy of a thought. Scientists can measure the energy and the frequency of your thoughts. So that's a real thing. To be inside of a place where people are all thinking in a positive and a powerful type way. Like that's a real, palpable, evidence-based thing. What I took away from what you said today was you have the potential. Like confidence and potential is linked. You have the potential because the people that you look up to are no different from you. The millionaires, the billionaires, they go through not the same struggle, but they go through similar struggles. And Bobby, if you remember on one of the last episodes we did, I said something where I said that your struggle may be unique,
Mhm.
but at the same time it's not.
Yeah,
Remember that?
I
So
do.
it's like when you're going through something in your silo, it feels like you're really going for it. But when you get around other people that are having the same experience, you realize that your experience is not unique and you're okay because you're just sort of you're in that space where you're supposed to be. So if you're failing, you're supposed to fail. Everybody in that room failed. If
Yeah.
you if you I don't know destroyed your business, people in that room have destroyed businesses before. So it's like when you're in a silo, okay, and that'll be my last piece. When you're in a silo, it feels like the world is shutting down. But when you get exposure to people who have been through what you've been through, then you realize that it's okay. So my last thing is don't stay in your silo, get out, experience the world, talk to people, share your experiences, and bring you to the table. Because remember, what did Bobby do? Bobby brought himself. Bobby brought his knowledge, his experience, his education. He brought the things that made him unique, okay, to the table, and that was valuable. So those are my main takeaways.
Man. My main takeaways from what you've said today, Junior, would definitely be around, and I took notes on this one. Let me pull my notes up here. It was, what is the perspective and how do you see things? Because that has a very big impact on your self belief, and stuff like that. So when you said that, I was like, yeah, I definitely got to write that one down and be mindful. Another thing that I've been taking away from this event is they're all about intention. They opened up the event saying, one of the biggest things you need to be able to do as a successful person is be intentional, because your intentions drive your actions and all of this other stuff. So one thing that I want to share with the audience before we get out of here over these last 60 seconds is, what is your intention? And I didn't say goal. I didn't say milestone. I didn't say what is your 10-year plan. Like those are little things that you need, and they're not little things. Those are real things that you need. But what I've learned is the difference between a goal and an intention. So, and that I learned that at this program, or at least I got a different perspective on it. And the perspective that they shared is that an intention is a resolve and or determination to achieve a determined goal. Like you choose the end goal and you resolve and determine yourself to arriving at that. And it's not necessarily a goal all the time. It's like an action. It's like I'm going to do this until this happens. And that's the intention. And if this does not happen, I don't stop doing XYZ. And you just keep going and going and going and going and going because that's the intention. So that's what I would say is identify your intention. What is it? Is it to help people? Is it to make an X amount of dollars? Whatever it is, you got to set the intention. And once you set the intention, let the goals unfold around that. And then don't ever change your intentions. And I mean, that's a bit rigid, but it's like, obviously, hold the intention until you arrive, unless new information that is credible warrants that you change it.
100%. Guys, this has been Breakfast with the Brand. Have a phenomenal Saturday. We will be back next week. Of course, if you like what we said, if you want to learn how to launch your brand, go to www.shaanrais.com, or you could go to brandedlikealeader.com. In fact, it goes straight to brandedlikealeader.com. If you want to see more about the other programs, go to that link below, www.shaanrais.com. Thank you so much. Have a phenomenal Saturday. See you next week. Let's grow.
Let's grow.